New York was gritty in the 90s, and it was dangerous. If you went to Times Square, it's not Disney-fied what it is today. It was XXX movies and pawn shops, and it was exciting, and the nightclubs were the center of culture. They were mega clubs. It was fantastic. And me as a photographer on that scene, I was the window into that world, so I felt like I had to document it.
Only a handful of cameras ever made it into the mega clubs. To experience them, you really had to be there.
It was, a visceral experience to go to a club. Anything you can imagine or do, it was done. There was every genre of music, and it was like the primordial slime of culture.
And out of that slime came a New York hip-hop trio.
So it was me and Fast working at a nightclub called the Limelight, and the guy who owned it owned a bunch of other nightclubs, Club USA, the Tunnel, and the Palladium. So we were working the Limelight, being the bar back, which was the guy who brought all the ice and the juices and the sodas to the bar.
Huey was always very well dressed and very charismatic, cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And the music was pounding, and there was Huey. He was a constant in the limelight. He was a sponge for everything going on at that time.
Every night of the week, there was a different motif, right? So Sundays was rock and roll night, Mondays was like goth night, Tuesdays I think was Disco 2000, and then Thursdays and Fridays that have like big nationwide bands come in. So we'd see like really great groups playing. While we were working there, I had an idea for a band, and we saw, frankly, what worked and what didn't work, right?
We feel sorry for them, and they owe us a lot of money. So here they are to pay off their bar tab for the last 4 years. Please give a very warm welcome to the Fun Lovin Criminals!
We didn't even think about recording music. I mean, we just thought maybe we could make a couple bucks playing live. The guy who was the manager realized he didn't have to pay anybody. We were already on the clock, so we just go play a little music and then come back and fix the bar up.
A regular on the Limelight stage, it wasn't long before these fun-loving criminals had swapped fixing bars for making records.
We like to think of New York as our canvas, and we like to seek out the stories in New York and try to tell them in a bugged-out way that very few will understand.
First record was recorded in 5 days. I mean, we did everything super quick because we didn't think that this was for real.
All the shit sold out. Ooh.
And everybody was happy, and then it took it to the next level, and then we started tours, and when you have a record that comes out and it's in the charts, obviously Top of the Pops gets involved.
This one's a cross between a Quentin Tarantino film and a cartoon featuring a dog that's a detective, and I'd have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids. It's the Fun Lovin Criminals.
The influence of the mega clubs had made it to Boreham Wood.
The Fun Lovin Criminals, the songs were great, and it was unusual. The music wasn't like everybody else's, and they were really, really good records.
Now me and Fast got the gas, we have to rob the bank. We got Steve outside carrying a full pack, and everything is cool and everything is smooth.
Scooby Snacks is about a Valium-induced bank robbery. It's a pretty subversive song.
Robbing banks, all whack, on the Scooby Snacks.
Oh my God, the Fun Lovin Criminals were naughty. They were so naughty.
Scooby Snacks, it's about Scooby-Doo, the animated cartoon dog. Nothing to do with drugs or anything.
The story comes from when I worked at the club, the Tunnel. On hip-hop nights, it got very stressful because the people would be pulling guns, shooting the place up. It was crazy. So the head of security's dad was a pharmacist, and somehow this guy got a 1,000-count jar of Valiums, like 10-milligram Valiums, and he walked through the club before the club opened. Anybody want some Scooby Snacks? And that's how it happened. And I was the bartender. I was like, yeah, I'll take a bunch, man.
Hey there, is there some Carmen She Love thing happening here, baby, or what?
the Fun Lovin Criminals. They were a classic band for me that put down what we wanted to be about, because they were, I suppose, a kind of a rock band, and they were danceable, and they were an amazing live band.
It was interesting to finally get on it and see how very, very serious everybody took themselves on Top of the Pops. We were just three guys from New York enjoying the hell out of every moment. But then me being the enlightened one was like, look, this is what we have to do. If this is probably something that will put us in the homes of everybody in this country. Where I come from, the expectations for my life were not that great. For me to be in a musical group that got a record contract, that got to travel outside the country of our origin, and being that guy in that band and doing Top of the Pops a bunch of times, I looked at all this stuff as a gift from God. I had a lot of fun doing it.